Okay, the first part that we're going to be looking at this evening is we're going to be looking at that pinion shaft, okay? The pinion shaft on our detail sheet is up here in the upper right-hand corner, okay? It is the piece that's going to kind of go through the handle, go through this bore here, and it's going to engage with the ram so that it goes up and down. It's basically a shaft that has a section of gear teeth on it, okay? The drawing for that you're going to find in the drawing guides. It's 330 is our part number. And what I want to do is I want to show you how to build this part using the toolbox items for gears in SolidWorks. Okay, so I think it's kind of a cool way to do it. I came upon this, I'm not going to lie, I did a little bit of a Google or a YouTube search, and I thought this was a really kind of a cool way to do this. So let's go over to SolidWorks and I'll show you the procedure in order to do this. So what you want to do is, now this is different. Even though we're going to be creating a part, we're going to be starting as an assembly because we're going to be bringing actually a gear in, and then we're going to be renaming it as a part once we get it in place. Okay. So when you start a new part here, you want to actually start an assembly. Do not start a part. Okay. So we're going to start an assembly. And instead of going up and inserting a component, okay, I'm just going to cancel that out. We're going to go over here to the toolbox. The toolbox, or the design library, over on the left, on the right-hand side. We're going to click on that. And right below the design library is the toolbox. So we're going to double click on that, or click on it. And all we want to do is say add now, add in now. And what's going to happen, it's going to populate with a whole bunch of folders down here. We want to go into the ANSI inch folder, and then now there's more folders. You're going to notice if you go down a little bit, there's a folder on the right-hand side. If yours is the same as mine, there's power transmission, okay? So we want to double click on power transmission. Then we want to double click on gears. And then you're going to notice that there is a spur gear here, okay? Now, in order to pull this in, do not left click and drag it. Don't left click and drag it. What we want to do is we want to attach it to the origin. And the easiest way to do that is to right click. Oh, you. Hold on, let me do it again. Did you guys get add to assembly? How come mine is not?
I'm not getting it either.
Well, like you're clicking on it already. You click off of it.
Click off of it?
I was
Okay.
just pulling it out so that you're showing.
All right, hold on. I'm gonna pause. Resume recording. Okay, make sure that you X out of inserting another object so that you don't have the dialog box open, and then go into the gears, and then you're gonna go to spur gear. You're gonna right click, and you're gonna notice it says insert into assembly. When you insert into assembly, it automatically is going to put it at the origin for us, rather than if you left click and drag it in, then it's on your cursor and you have to try to, change it. So that's a really easy way to do that. Now, yours probably does not look like this, okay? Because mine remembers my settings from before, but you do have this configure component over on the left-hand side. So what you want to do is you're going to notice down here, the first properties that you have are diametral pitch. You want to make sure that that goes to 12, okay? The next thing that you want to do is you want to arrow down and you want to go to 12 teeth, okay? Pressure angle is 20. And the face width is going to be 1 inch, okay? That's because we have 1 inch of flat teeth that we need engaged with our rack as we put it in, okay? Now you're going to notice that there's a place for you to put a hub style. We do have a hub or that extension coming out, okay? So we're going to arrow down and you just want to put it on one side, okay? If it's none, there's not a hub, but we might as well build it right in here. And then you're going to notice it asks for the hub diameter. I put the nominal size of 0.75, okay? The next thing it's going to ask us for, so at this point, you should now have a hub coming out. Do you guys have that? You see that? Okay, perfect. So then now you're going to notice that there is an overall length. Now, this is including the hub, okay? So including the hub, it's 1 inch plus 1.1875. The total length is going to be 2.1875 here, okay? Nominal shaft size, you can't put none in there. So you're going to notice that there's this little hole that's going all the way through. We're going to close that up when we go back in. So just leave that at 1/32. And then we have no keyway. All right. And then it just says show 12 teeth, and that should be the very end. Okay. So does everybody have what you see here on their screen? Okay. So now what we're going to do is you'll notice that generically it just called it assembly 1. All right. We're going to go up to, or we have to do the okay for the configure. So get out of that. And now we're just, at a normal place. And then we're going to go up to file, and we're going to go down to save as. Now, do not save this as an assembly. We're going to save this as a part. Okay, save this as a part. So we're going to arrow down where it says assembly, and we're going to go to SolidWorks part. Okay, right at the top. Once you have it as a SolidWorks part, you need to navigate to the directory where you're saving all of your Arbor Press parts or models. And you want to rename it as 30030. Okay. I need to do an underscore like 3. Okay. Everybody there? And then you press enter. So you'll notice that it doesn't rename it up here. So you're just going to close out this assembly, and you don't want to save the assembly. And then now we're just going to go back and open up the actual part that we just saved. So that was 330. Yeah. Okay. And then it's going to ask you, do you want to proceed with feature recognition? I say yes to that. I don't know. I really don't know what that means. I should know. Okay. And then you can just hit okay here. And okay. Okay. Oh, there it goes. Okay. I just do part 2. Did you guys do that too? Okay. And now you're going to notice it says part 2 up there. I don't know why, but let's do that save as one more time as a 30030. I'm doing underscore 3 just because, and you can resave and okay. Save. Yes. Is yours open as another part 2? I guess just close this one then.
Oh, it makes another part when you.
Oh, it did. Yeah. So I'll say don't save. Oh, because of the part recognition. Yeah. So just make sure that up here, your part that you have is the 330. I have underscore 3 just because of what I did. Sorry about that. Thank you. I'm going to put this down here. Okay. So now we want to get rid of that middle hole. All right. So all that we're going to do is we are going to do an extrude boss base. We're just going to fill it in is what we're going to do. We're going to do an extrude boss base, and you can either pick whichever end you want to go on. It really doesn't matter. So I'm going to click on one end, and I'm in the sketch mode now, and I'm going to select that middle circle, and I'm going to convert it into my sketch, and it's fully defined. Okay. Now I'm just going to exit out of here, and it's going to go right into boss extrude. And I just want to do a through all so that it goes all the way through. And then just make sure that if you have to flip it so it goes through the part, and then you can hit OK. And then now if you click off of this, it's solid. Does that make sense? Okay. Pretty get that? All right. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to create the larger portion of our shaft going backwards. So for instance, so we've got basically, if you would, from here to the left done. Now we're going to add to the right. Okay. So to do that, over here, we are going to do another extrude boss base. And I'm going to go on this back surface where we see that gear surface. And we're going to draw a circle. We're going to start our circle. It's going to be at the origin for the center. And then we're going to grab onto one of the edges here. Okay. And we're going to say, okay. Now, if you go off of it, it should be fully defined because we grabbed one of the edges on one of the teeth. Okay, so it knows what size that is. Okay. So all we're going to do then is we're going to exit out, and I'm going to kind of go here, the extrude boss base. It's going in the correct direction, but I need to do a blind, and it is going to be a dimension of 5 minus 2.1875. Okay. So the number I get is 2.8125. Okay. And now that's going to extend to the end of our part. Okay. All right. So it wouldn't hurt to do a quick save. All right. Now, if we look back at our part, okay, and I'm going to look here, you're going to notice for those teeth, they don't just stop at that 1-inch full tooth, the stop. It actually kind of comes out, it radiuses out to exit the tool path, okay? So on our part over here, you can kind of see it. I know it's kind of a dark, but this is what we have going. So we've got a 1-inch full tooth, but then we're going to have a 2-inch radius cutter exit for each one of those teeth, okay? So we need to generate that, all right? So let's go back to SolidWorks, and we are going to do a revolve cut command, okay? We're going to do a revolve cut. So I'm going to click on revolve cut, and we're going to rotate this around, and we are going to revolve cut on this surface right here, the back of the tooth surface. Does that make sense, everybody? Like right here. So that's going to be the sketch plane that we're going to be on. Now, what we want to do is we want to take this profile right here. Okay, the one that's horizontal as we're looking. We want to take that profile, and we're gonna cut that away. So we're gonna just select that profile, and we're gonna hit convert up on the top. And what it did was it took that outline, that perimeter, and it pulled it into our sketch plane. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do our revolve cut on. Now, to revolve cut this, we need to create an axis. Okay. That axis is going to be on a line out here. So we're going to simply go up to the line command, center line, and we're going to just create a vertical center line, a random length right there. Then I'm just going to zoom out just a little bit, and I'm going to add a smart dimension from the center or the origin to that line. And I want that radius to be 2 inches. Okay, 2 inches. Now, I'm going to tell you this information, the 2 inches, is not on the drawing, okay? They don't even give you a dimension for what that radius is as it goes out, okay? So I kind of played with it a little bit, and this one seemed to be, reasonable for what was there. So here's my 2-inch radius. This is fully defined sketch now, okay? So I just have to make sure I have that 2-inch radius from the origin out to my center line. And now this is going to be the center line that the revolve takes, okay? So I'm going to exit my sketch. Okay. Now, I'm going to kind of rotate this around. So this is what we just created. Does that make sense now? Maybe by looking at it here, it's now taking that sketch or that, that back side, and it's going to be pulling it out. So we can just hit OK. All right. And now you're going to notice that it created that groove for that cutter to exit that tooth. Does that make sense? Everybody see that? Okay. Now, the next thing you're going to do here is I'm just going to reselect that revolve, that cut revolve. And now we're going to go underneath linear pattern, but we want to grab a circular pattern. Okay. Now, mine's populated because it remembers, but to get the direction here, I don't know what that line is. I have no idea. Oh, it's just a dimension. Hold on. Let me just go out of here for a second. I don't know why that grabbed that. I'm going to re-go on my, I think it's just there, yeah. Linear pattern, circular pattern. And then direction, all the direction needs is an edge of like a circular feature here. So I'm just going to grab this front edge right here, just so that it knows what to go around. And what you want to make sure of is you want to make sure that equally spaced or equal spaced around 360 degrees. And we have 12 teeth. So we want 12 instances of this. Okay. And then once you have that, you can hit OK. And there it is. And then that's the exit of the cutter after it creates the 1-inch full tooth. Okay. Now, the rest of it, I think you guys can handle. Okay. If I look back at the drawing underneath here, what you have left then is the hole for the handle, the threaded hole for the thumb screw. And then there's also a couple of chamfers. There's 3 of them, one on each end. And also there's a chamfer, 16th inch chamfer, or I'm sorry, a 16th of an inch chamfer on the front end of those teeth. That's a nice lead in as you put it into the arbor press head on the top there. Okay. So that's what I wanted to cover as far as constructing that. Again, you've got to start as an assembly, pull that part in, and then save it as a part, and then work with it to finish it up to this point. So are there any questions? All right. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this recording. So if you need to go back to it, you've got just that one.